one of the features about this particular hut circle here, I don't know whether you can make out, there is a sort of semicircle of raised ground, and then we come across this wall which is later than the structure, so it cuts across this particular hut circle. And Laura's over there, she can sort of, that's the extent. You might be able to see some of the stones in the ground, and I have to tell you that when we did come up here, it was incredibly wet, and a lot of the vegetation that we were digging up, it became a bit more like an excavation than a sort of vegetation clearance. And I was digging it up, and it was black, and I thought the vegetation blackness here that you can see was because it had started rotting under the water. But then Laura mentioned about the fire, and we think that that black is actually the result of the fire.
Yeah, this is the charring layer from the 2009 hill burn,
Right.
I would say, definitely. And the stones that are poking up through it show heat damage as well. They start to slightly discolour, usually go a bit pink, perhaps a bit orange. If there's iron in the stone, it tends to bring that out. It sort of oxidises with the heat. And we've got evidence of this in a couple of the other hut circles as well, this sort of layer just under the kind of modern soil sort of root level, and yeah, from that burn.
Yeah, and you can tell because the heather out there is all kind of a uniform height, so that kind of indicates that there's been a burn at some point in the past as well. We're going to try and leap over this little wall here, and I'll keep the camera going because it's not too far away, the next one. If you want to see, I hope you've all visited the PLP website, but if you follow your nose to Ancient Penwith, you'll see some beautiful artists' reconstructions of various sites, and one of the most impressive ones is this site, Sperris. So if you haven't, please go to the website and check it out. And this is the last one that we kind of cleared all around here. It's quite big, showing evidence of that kind of double wall feature that we were talking about. And there we go, all the way around there. And this is massive, isn't it, Laura, really?
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, this is about as big as they ever get.
Yeah.
Yeah, huge roundhouse. Yeah, I don't know, what are we looking at? 10 plus metres across, maybe?
I did measure it, it's 11.
Okay, there we go. My archaeologist eye doesn't lie too badly.
It's still the same structure of the roof. I mean, still a sort of, would there be a central pole? And
probably,
yeah.
Yeah. Quite often when these are excavated, you find like a post pad, or
right,
or a depression in the packed earth floor, where you can imagine there would have been a huge central post, possibly some smaller posts around the outside. Yeah, they don't, or sometimes they don't survive. If there was a really nice stone post pad used that was then taken away, perhaps when it was decommissioned or abandoned.
yes.
So sometimes you don't find any at all. You think, oh, what held the roof?
I know, it's a big span, isn't it? It's a really big span.
I really don't think they would have been sort of hanging roofs. It would have had posts, but sometimes a ring of smaller posts is a possibility in some of the larger roundhouses, but usually a central or slightly off-centre post to sort of cater for like eaves that hung out over the door, possibly.
Yeah.
So if you've got a heavier roof on one side, you might decentralise the posts to accommodate that, perhaps. We're not really a roof building expert.
Well, there's nothing left to sort of see, is there?
No, and I don't think this one wasn't excavated. All we had down on the original survey that was done was kind of House Circle 1, not very much of a description. So it wasn't one of the ones that was excavated in the 50s. I think they only put trenches in 2 of them.
So there is still potentially a lot more to be found here.
Oh yes, but it's a scheduled in monument, so very well protected, nationally important monuments. This whole settlement really. So
yeah,
and the associated fields around it. So without very good reason, we wouldn't be excavating up here now.
And not a inconsiderable amount of money.
Indeed, yeah. As you can see, it's not the most easy place to get to,
No,
or as Richie's mentioned, with the fog and the rain and the wind and constant wind usually. I mean, I've just come from Penzance and it's dead calm over there, and quite windy here. You can probably hear it on the speaker. But yeah, logistically a nightmare. Risk assessments become enormous. Yeah, and
yes.
Yeah, it's hard going digging in these places. I've done it for short periods of time, and it's really difficult.
So we may never know the true story of these places.
No, well, when Star Trek happens, they'll have their little little tricorders. That's always the aim of the archaeological community, is to excavate without disturbing.
Technology will come to our rescue.
Technology will aid us.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay.
But, yeah.
Well, I think that'll sort of be enough for now, without sort of rambling on anymore. But I should say this is open access up here, so you can come up and see it anytime you like. There is a footpath that runs along the length of the Severn, and there's little footpaths that come into each of the huts. So please, come along and take a look for yourself. Much better than watching me and Laura witter.
Not been seen for ages. It's a real treat to see them.
Yeah, it is. It's very special. I was very excited when we started uncovering stuff, and that's what it's all about for us and the volunteers. We love to uncover stuff, even though it might take, days. It's worth it in the end.
But it's also helping them, because the roots are damaging the structures. So from my point of view as a custodian of archaeology, if you like, it's helping me check the condition of them, that these are known to flood now because the water table is changing, and I can keep an eye on them, and we can make proper surveys of them to monitor their condition through time, which is exactly what we're doing. So.
Great. Okay, well that's it from me and Laura. See you next time. Ta-ta.
Bye.